Good morning, one and all. This is Dr. Kaveri Swami. Today I am going to explain you about the preamble. What is the meaning of preamble and what is the importance of preamble? So let me just start by saying that preamble is a brief introduction to the Indian Constitution. As you all know that Indian Constitution is one of the lengthiest constitution in the world, carrying around 4,000 pages. So it is very difficult to know what is there in the constitution. So as a result, in the introductory part of the Indian Constitution, we have given a brief introduction, a precise form of presentation, which we basically call it as a preamble. So as I said that it is nothing but it is a preface which generally tells us what is there in the constitution. It is also referred as a political horoscope, because as we see that whatever we want to know the future about us, we prefer to see the horoscope. Similarly, to know what is there in the Indian Constitution, it is not possible for anybody to read the entire 4,000 pages. So just by looking in terms of preamble, we'll come to know what is there in the Indian Constitution. That's why we basically says that preamble is nothing but it gives us the information about the shape and structure of the Indian Constitution. The preamble embodies the philosophy or the ideology of the Constitution. It was being given the pride by the Constitution makers. As we have Pandit Thakur Das Bhargave, who was a member of the Constituent Assembly, who once said, the preamble is the most precious part of the Constitution. So we can say it is a proper yardstick with which one can measure the worth of the Constitution. So according to Mahatma Gandhi, the India of my dreams, an India in which the poorest shall feel that it is their country, in whose making they have an effective voice, an India in which all communities shall live in perfect harmony. And that's what we can find a replica of it in the Indian Constitution. However, the preamble to the Constitution was discussed in October 1948. Even this was being discussed in the drafting committee as well, where the objective resolutions, which is considered to be one of the benchmark for the formation of the preamble. So the preamble to the Constitution is not its part itself, but it has its own importance. It shows the way the government ought to function. Okay, that is how the government has to function, what type of government that you need to have, what is an objective of the preamble. So everything we can learn, we can understand by just reading the preamble. So if there is any vagueness or controversy about any part of the Constitution, it can be explained with the help of the preamble that gives the real importance to it. Now, how does the preamble reads out? So the preamble states, we, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure all its citizens. Justice that includes social, economic and political. The next we have is liberty. So liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship. Equality of status and of opportunity. Fraternity, that is assuring the dignity of individual and unity and integrity of the nation. So in our Constituent Assembly, the 26th day November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact and give this to ourselves, this Constitution. Kindly make a note that in this particular preamble, we have added certain words. Okay, so the words were being added through the 42nd Amendment Act of 1976, which I'll be telling you when I come in detail about it. So let's see the significance of the preamble. So I have told you what is preamble. I said it is a brief introduction to the Indian Constitution. It gives the shape and structure of the country. It is a preface. It is nothing but it is a yardstick. So now let's see what is the importance of the preamble. Now, as I have already quoted out what is there in the preamble, and this particular entire preamble is been categorized into 4 parts. The first part gives us the information of source of authority. The second part gives us the information about the type of government sought to be established. Third, objective of the Constitution. And the fourth one, we call it as adoption and enforcement of the constitution. So these are the four parts where we can see the constitution's importance is been categorized. So let me start with the first importance of the preamble. So the first one, which talks about the source of authority or authority clause. That means the preamble gives an information in India who is having the power. So obviously, as the quotation says that we the people of India. So the constitution says that it's neither me nor you, instead we. Okay, so we, in a sense, it does not include you or it includes me. It says we all the people of India. So the authority lies with the Indians. So as I said, we the people of India. So this indicates the source of authority behind the constitution, that is the people and no one else. Okay, so we say that people are supreme here. So the constitution is been prepared by the people through their representatives. So we say that people are supreme in this country. They have the source of authority. Now let's move on to the next level of the importance of the preamble. So where it talks about the type of government. So what type of government that it is there. Okay, the first one we have is sovereign, as in the preamble quoted, which says that sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. So I'll begin with the first one, that is sovereign. So what is sovereign? Sovereign is nothing but it is an independence of the country. What we call it as an absolute independence, free from an external control. So the moment any country becomes an independence, it has to have a recognition in an international organization. Only then you can call a country as a sovereign nation, or we call it as a state. Being a political science students, we have studied that what is a state. So to call anything as a state, what we need to have? We need to have population, territory, government. The most important is the sovereignty. So that is independence. And that independence has to have international recognition. Say for example, India became independent on 15th August 1947. So since then we call it as India as an independent country. Okay. So prior to that, if you see 1930, when we declared Swaraj, but that Swaraj cannot be considered as a sovereign because it never had an international recognition. Let's move on to the second one, call it as socialist. So when we say socialist, see this particular word or the term socialist was not there in the original preamble. So this is a word which has been inserted in the preamble through the 42nd Amendment Act of 1976, which says that the individual freedom can be completely subordinated to the interest of the community. So what we basically say, to surrender the personal interest for the interest of the society. So that is the aim and objective of the socialism. The next word that we talk is about the secular. So the word secularism is also the later addition to the preamble, again done through the 42nd Amendment Act of 1976, which guarantees the freedom of religion to all the citizens. And as we know that India is a secular country and we don't have any religion as a state religion. The next point that we have is about the democratic. So where we say that democracy is nothing but it is a people's government, as it has been mentioned, by the people, of the people and for the people. So people are the whole and sole decision maker in the country. So these are the types, and other than that, one more type if we talk about, we say republic. So republic in a sense where we say the executive head of the state is not hereditary monarch. That means the head of our nation, who is being called as the president of India, for example, Indian president, he is not being chosen on the hereditary basis. Rather, even the president has to go through the process of an election. So he's also been elected, of course not directly by the people, but we see that electoral college participates in the president's election. That means even the president has to go through the process of an election and then he becomes a president. So it is not a hereditary pattern or the monarchical system, as a hereditary monarchical system is in existence in the other countries like UK and all. Next, move on to the third objective, that is third importance of the preamble, which we call it as an objective clause. So, what is an objective of our preamble, or what is an objective of our Indian Constitution? So, we say first one, justice. So, what kind of justice? So, it means you're going to get social justice, economic justice, and political justice. So, this is a whole and soul objective of the preamble. So, how are we going to protect these things? How are we going to protect the objective here? So, you can see the reference of justice in the form of Indian Constitutions, Part 3 and Part 4, which gives us the information about fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy. The next thing is liberty. So, what is liberty? Liberty is nothing but it's a freedom, the freedom of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship. So, the Constitution guarantees the fundamental right to the freedom of speech, expression, movement, residence, religion. All these are the different kinds of freedoms that are being given to all the people of the country. The next one that we have is about equality. So, what is equality? The equality of status and opportunity. So, again, as I mentioned, Part 3 of the Indian Constitution, under the list of fundamental rights, it guarantees us the right to equality, according to which all are equal in the eyes of law, irrespective of caste, creed, sex, status, and place of birth. Article 16 also talks about that, where it gives an equal right of equal opportunities in the matter of employment. The next one that we talk about is fraternity. So, fraternity, it means brotherliness. So, brotherliness in a sense, what are we doing it? We are considering our neighbors as our own brothers. So, for example, you can see Hindu Chini Bhai Bhai. Okay, so this is one of the the slogan that is popularly being used. So, where we try to see that we are establishing a brotherly relations with our neighboring countries. So, fraternity also implies that all citizens should have a feeling that they are the members of the same family with a common interest. However, many provisions in the constitutions have been incorporated with a view to promote this kind of feeling of the citizens. And the another concept to show that we are following the concept of fraternity is that we are being promoted with a feeling of oneness by providing the single citizenship. That means whichever the part of the country that we are born, we are an Indian. So that is what is our identity. After that, we have the next one. We call it as dignity of individual. So Constitution gives due place to the individual and guarantees valuable freedom to individuals to develop his personality. Okay, so until and unless we give this, the individuals will not realize their potentiality. So what we need to do is we have to give them all the freedom so that they can realize their inner potentiality, and they can develop their personality as well. The next one we have is unity and integrity of the nation. So the preamble aims at achieving the unity and integrity. Here also we see that the word integrity was added to the preamble through the 42nd Amendment Act of 1976. So the word integrity is intended to put an end to the separatist tendencies and make people feel that they are the part of India in their home. So the last one that we have is about, we call it as an enacting clause, the concluding remark. So the concluding remark of the preamble gives the importance, where I've told you that it talks about 26 November 1949 as the date when we have adopted, enacted and given this constitution to ourselves. So that is an enacting clause where we are winding up the preamble with these words. So what we say is that the Constitution's Article 395 and 15 other articles mentioned therein came into force on 26 January 1950. So one thing that you have to keep it in your mind is that the preamble was once amended. So only once the preamble was been amended, whereas I mentioned you that there were few words which were being the later edition, that is done through the 42nd Amendment Act of 1976. The words like socialism, secularism and the words like integrity. I hope you have understood. Thank you so much.